This introduction with Excel covers 2007, 10, and 13. Done in 10. Everything in here applies to all of them. We're doing the payroll. I have some stuff typed in here already. These are the number of hours Clark worked. This is the rate that he's earning. We need to do the pay. We hit the equal, go into the cell there, we multiply it by the hourly rate, enter or checkbox, we pull this down. Black crosshair, click on the dollar sign to make it look like currency. And if you look in here, you can see how it's going by row, B1, C1, second, third, fourth row. We're going to be putting some assumptions above here. We need to add a row. I highlight row 1 in there, right click, insert, and I'm going to type some information here. Name, number hours, rate, gross. Then we're taking out stuff that you see in rows 9, 10, and 11. To go from one cell to the other, hit the tab key. So what we're going to do, we want to determine the federal tax. And we're going to multiply 456 times the 0.28 here. However, we always want it to be B9. We have to make sure it's a constant. So I hit the equal this, the asterisk, I click inside here. If I drag this down with it written this way, it's going to become B10, B11, B12. What we want to do is we want to make it a constant and absolute. You want a dollar sign before the B, before the 9. To do the easy way, just hit the F4 key. You've got it done. Hit the Enter key, up arrow key, 127.68. Pull it down. This is what we have. We want to do the Connecticut tax equal, it's the gross, times the Connecticut tax, make it a constant. I'm going to be doing these three here, then I'm going to pull it down. I hit the tab key. The Social Security tax, it's going to be the equal sign, based again on the gross, asterisk, and then we click inside here, constant. To do the net pay, we have to subtract columns E, F, and G from column D. Whenever you create a formula, you must use the equal sign. This minus this minus this minus this. Don't type the minus afterwards. It thinks you want to continue doing a function here. So it's that. No absolutes in here because you're working in the row. Highlight these cells here. Pull it down with the black crosshair. So that is done. Now let's say we have to send out a check here. We have to put in a last name. To do that, we right click in here, insert. We type in last. Now if we look down here, we got this information here. We want it next to it over here. You can cut and paste. When you're highlighting, you use the white cross. If you're pulling something down, black cross here. If I use the black cross here because I want to highlight this, I've just changed everything. I undo. Curly arrow up here or Control Z. Now you have this thing here you can drag and drop. You get the dagger, I can pull it over like that. Be careful if you're highlighting and you get that dagger and it says do you want to replace the content, say no. Look at what you're doing. I want to boldface and center the top row. Easy way. Highlight it. Bold. Center. We got a few more things to do with this thing here. We want to put a title at the top. Highlight the top two rows because we want to put two rows here. Right click. Insert. I type in Daily Planet Payroll. Make it bold. Let's say I want to make it larger. I can make it 16. Let's say I want to merge and center across this range here. You just don't go over here and type it in. So you highlight this here. I click inside on this thing here, merge and center. It's centered. Let's say I want to apply a style to a cell. Sometimes you like to do it's like instant formatting here. I could go over here, I hold it over, It changes the color. Heading 1, 2, 3, 4, and of course it hides it here. But I will click on heading 1. Of course, the font changed a little bit here. It's now a 15 point, but this is instant way of doing it. I could highlight these things here, and then I could go again into cell styles, and I would want to keep a consistency in the color design here, and let's say I make it accent 1. So you have things standing out. So if I want to format this here, I could just click on the $ here. I want to make even decimal points here. I click on the comma. Put comma if it's thousands, but it's not thousands. I want to make this look like a percent. I click on the percent sign, and then I add 2 decimal points because the 7.65 has been rounded up. It calculates on the actual value in here, not the rounded value if you see an 8% in there. Again, always keep saving your work as you go along. Next, I want to talk about printing this. You want to get this to look really good. However, let's say beforehand, you've got to know some statistics. You want to know what you paid for everything. And to do that, it's very easy. Just click on the Sigma key. Click on it again. And you can go over here. Just click on the Sigma key all there. And it has everything here. You get railroad tracks, a bunch of pound signs. It means it's too narrow. Just click and make it a little wider. And everything shows there. I might want to type in totals here. Highlight the cells. Make it bold. You could also apply the style that you had up above in there. Next thing I want to do, last thing, is called the printing. And if you're going to print this out, it says sheet 1 here. Let's say I want to put in the current date here. I put my mouse inside the tab. I double click in the tab. And let's say this was the January 8th payroll. Just literally type it in there. I'm going to be sending this over to the payroll department. To do this, I have to format a little bit. I click on page layout. I click in the drop down arrow right here in the page setup group here. We're going to do a few things here. I want to make it landscape. I'm on the page tab here. And if it's a little bit too big, you could always say fit the page so that way it doesn't go off. Margins. Margins are pretty good here. But let's have one to center on the page. I click off those 2 little things here. Header, footer. Let's say I want to put a custom footer on the document, or a header. Header's at the top, footer's at the bottom. You go into custom footer here, and let's say you're the one that did this. You could type in your name. And let's say in the sector, you've got all these nice little tooltips here. Let's say you want to know the date this was printed. You could click in there. You could put in the time. So let's say I want to know what time it was printed. Now let's say I want to reference the file name. This is the file name. That's the path, which means the folder in the file name, and the sheet name. I'm going to click in here and I'm going to just go there. I say OK. Now you have on the sheet here, you could put in grid lines, draft quality row and column headings here. So if I want this, and I just go to print preview, it shows what it looks like. Let's say I don't want the grid lines and stuff here. I could click on page setup while I'm in the print preview. Go back into this here, go into sheet, check these off, go into OK. It shows everything that you have here, so you're ready to print. Has student name, the time, and the date here. Last thing, I have to hit the escape key. Let's say I got to do the January 15th payroll. Easy way to do this is to copy the worksheet. You put your mouse inside the tab, hold down the control key, left click, drag slowly to the right. It makes a duplicate page. So I just double click in here. You cannot have 2 sheets with the same name. You can't have 2 sheet 1s. They're like files. So I've got that. And let's say I have a few changes in here. Lois got a raise of $18. Let's say Jimmy only worked 15 hours. Do you see how the numbers are changing? Now let's say you want to do a few stats in here. You want to know what the average hourly rate is, etc. So I'm talking about the hourly rate here. I could just go to the Home tab, and then I could click next to this FX here. I could click on Average. I'm talking about the hourly rate. I highlight this, D4 through D7. I could also type it, MIN, and then I highlight this, and then I could say, or I could click over here. You got a few basic things in here, not a lot. Max in there. But watch this. If we change a couple of little things here, and let's say Lois is now making $21 an hour, it's going to change the average and the max. So it's showing things in here. So you've got things in there going with this. Let's say you have to do the January 22nd. You can just pull this over to the right, double click, got that there, and let's say Lois left. She went to another magazine or newspaper. Right click and highlight it, right click, delete, it's gone. Or let's say you hired a new person. I right click in here and I say insert, and let's say I hired this person. She's our starred new reporter here, and let's say she worked 21. She made 34.25 an hour. Now this is the beauty. You just go up here, highlight all the cells, pull it down. You've got all the salaries and everything done. Last thing here, let's say you want this list alphabetized. All you have to do is click on the last name, and then you're on the Home tab. Click on Sort and Filter, say Sort A to Z. It picked it up. So everything is done. This is the basic introduction to Excel, working with some of the really cool functions in here.